I'm going to follow up on the Ron Stevens thing. I criticized this person because he basically trashed the people that are warning us with the consequences of Fukushima. He is tired of listening to the plague. We are a plague. We are a mental plague on the planet anyway. I want to talk about the idea of truth. And the idea of truth has really inculcated the YouTube genre, the alternate media, the truthers. And I was thinking about this today. And by the way, 2 times 2 is 4. Just in case you didn't know, 2 times 2 is 4. I made a painting. 2 times 2 equals, yeah, well, I didn't do equals, but 2 times 2. And I want to talk about, I'm rambling in my mind. Things kind of go around, and truth. Truth is really bugging me. Everybody talking about the truth. And truth is not information. Truth are not facts. Facts are not truth. Information is not truth. As you proceed up the ladder to get to the level of knowledge and wisdom, I think maybe you get a bit closer to the idea of truth. But truth is something that we generate. This is not empirical. Truth is not empirical. I woke up this morning, I thought about this. Truth is not empirical. And truth is that which liberates our spirits. This is why people are very motivated, or they're inspired by the idea of being truthers, people that come out and say the truth. And there are many representations of this truth. Millions of people spout on YouTube about truth, but truth has nothing to do with information. Truth has nothing to do with facts. Truth is something that comes out of each one of us. We generate the truth. And in this generation of truth, we liberate the spirit. And I think there are 2 types of truths. There is destruction and there is creation. And we go between the 2. This is how I perceive reality. And when I find myself in the headlights of, well, you could call it dogma, whatever, regurgitating all the old stuff, we become trapped. I become trapped in a way of seeing myself. And the way I identify this, because as a painter, I create work that reflects who I am immediately. It's like a painting I did maybe 10 years ago. I have it up. I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to do something to it because I've understood something else about this painting. So what I just wanted to articulate after my last video, not the last one, the one before, about truth, this guy who can be so wrong saying the truth. I want to clarify this, how you can be wrong saying the truth. And that is, when you regurgitate facts and information, you're not actually dealing with the truth, because the truth is an internal recognition. And here is the essence, what I feel to be what is truth. And truth is either creative or destructive. And the heart of all the experience that I have been able to accumulate in my history of making paintings and looking at other artists making their work is that the greatest truths are connected to spirit. And spirit from the point of view that I am obviously, I am committed to the side of the creation rather than the destruction. Although people could probably argue that there is, well, wherever there's creation, there's destruction, and the 2 go hand in hand, the sort of yin-yang thing. But for as far as I'm concerned, destruction has taken over. So I'm more interested in the creative part, the creation part of truth. And this is what I feel is being missed, and I'm going to comment on this because the way I understand it is the greatest art produced does not document history. No. It's not a documentation. Where I'm not interested in documenting. As if I have any value as a painter, as an artist, my contribution will be to contribute a spirit to what we all share, something that we all share. And it's not information, it's not fact, it's something else. It's actually kind of ephemeral, because when you create, I like that. When you create something, it is related to part of ourselves. So what I consider to be truth is something that is very personal and internal. And this disseminates. And I was listening to a dissertation, again, by Michael Tsarion, who is a consummate researcher on the occult and symbolisms, and the symbols that have trapped us, imprisoned us, that have brought us to the stage of this ultimate destruction. What is the nuclear destruction? The nuclear criminal syndicate is running the show now under the symbolisms. And by the way, this is the true nuclear symbol. It's not yellow. Yellow is magnificent. This is the red, the dreaded red nuclear symbol that I have decided. I am seeing the nuclear criminal syndicate with this symbolism, and it's all about symbols that were trapped in. The Tsarion thing was about the Illuminati female, the idea of the female who has actually captured our psyches in the scheme of things, how we are being seduced by the symbolisms that actually represent the female. And this is interesting for me because I'm not going to be too interested in reproducing or making work based on the philosophies that Tsarion is bringing up, but he has a power, an ability. He is creating a spirit for us to absorb. He is an artist in the sense that he's creating a spirit that we can absorb. But it falls short because he believes still that there is a war on consciousness. No, there isn't a war on consciousness. Consciousness is everything. There is a war on conscience. What I go on about, I go on about this all the time. You know, it's like battering away at this because I keep seeing it come up against me. And this is something where we are not able to congeal within ourselves these two forces of destruction and creation, creation. And in order to overcome our present circumstances of this ultimate destruction, which is the age of fission, we are in the age of fission. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons of nuclear waste we don't know what to do with, that some great science has invented. And if you go through the symbolisms that keep us separated from this understanding, from this knowledge, it's not because we don't have the information and the facts, but because we haven't generated the spirit within the culture. It has been captured. What Tsarion has identified beautifully, this spirit has been captured by the destructive force, and we have to counter that. That's how I feel my part. If I'm able to seduce people with my work to actually align themselves with the spirit of this creative spirit, this spirit that I refer to as the spirit that is behind conscience, that part of us, we all have the ability, the gift to do the right thing. And this has been manipulated because history is a record of manipulation. And if you look at science the way it's practiced, it's basically manipulation. Like Terence McKenna said about the Big Bang. What scientists always say, give us one free miracle, the Big Bang, and we'll explain everything else. No, we won't explain. We'll manipulate everything else. They posit themselves. They become the rulers of the planet. The religion of science is the ruler of the planet. And what we have abandoned is conscience. Conscience. It's not a war on consciousness. It's a war on conscience. And these are all the symbols, the bafflet or whatever that is, that image of the devil with the horns, and it's an androgynous kind of image of the female and the male contained in the same, and all those symbols and images. I actually want nothing to do with that shit. I mean, I'm not interested in all that imagery. I'm interested in conjuring within myself the imagery, the spirit that is on the side of creation, the side that allows us to survive. So all of us, this is my point about truth. It's not facts. It's not information. It's what we generate from within inside. From what comes if we're not psychopaths and sociopaths, and I'm not talking to those types, I'm talking to the rest of the world. Hello, rest of the world that is not psychopathic or sociopathic. There is something within all of us, and it's an inner war that needs to be fought, and that inner war will represent itself in what we call the real world, whatever that might be. The real world, I don't know what the real world is. All I know is that I'm trying to connect to this force which is on the side of creation. And nuclear fission and the nuclear criminal syndicate has captured us through these symbolisms, as Tsarion goes on about. And you'll notice that this fellow never talks about the impending catastrophe of the destruction of all of life. We're seeing an extinction level event. This has been confirmed, by the way. We are in a sixth extinction level, that's hard to say, sixth extinction event in the history, what they call the history of the planet. And what is interesting to me is from the Cambrian period, about 560 million years ago, at which point all of a sudden this enormous creative force happened, and the diversity of life originated about 560 million years ago, not 4.5 billion years ago. There was like a whole like 3.5 billion years of nothing happens, and all of a sudden, wow, we end up with the diversity of life. And I'm interested, and now as a conclusion, we are living in an age where the opposite to the Cambrian period is the age of fission. The Cambrian age, the opposite age, is the age of fission, which is what we're in. So in order to counter that, the art, what is it? I loathe to say expertise, but I'm not that knowledgeable on everything in art. I just know what it is that I'm doing in terms of my own work and my own process, what I'm going through. And I take in whatever I can from sources like Tsarion, which the guy is brilliant. I love the guy. But ultimately, the truth is not a fact, is not information, is something we generate from within each one of us, which will represent itself in the real world, what we call reality. This is how it works. And this truth, wherever this was generated, out of this Illuminati female that Tsarion talks about, wherever this came from, this is not my direction, and it's not the direction of life in general. And it's a spiritual war from the point of view that we need to be able to generate this the creative truth that is actually going to take us into the next age, whichever, I don't know what the hell that might be. But my part, the way I see my part, and what I've been going on about, is to try and generate a spirit. And this is the best art that's been produced. It's not documenting the time. It's not regurgitating what happened sometime in the past. It's actually putting a line in the sand where we actually become, for lack of a better word, enlightened. We actually, as a species, as people, as individuals, one to one, as one to another, we become enlightened and encourage and inspire each other. That is the highest truth. It's not information. It's not facts. 2 times 2 equals a pope and Howdy Doody and Pinocchio and another pope.